Day 19 and someone's excited to get started, aren't you, Liam? Yeah. Great to hear about all the action steps and those who are keeping out or just slightly behind on the day-to-day action items. As mentioned, please work at your own pace, but take action and you will achieve it. Now, over the past 4 days, we have been focusing on the my approach and my achievements of the case study. You should have been able to write at least 2 drafts of each where you're structuring it and adding everything and anything that is relevant to you, the processes, what you did and why you did it. We haven't been focusing on the word count as we will chunk this down later, and for hopefully everyone, this will give you some more flexibility and a detailed look at how to write a professional port where it looks and it's easy to identify as well. One thing I wanted to touch on is the realistic nature of the processes about what you did in respect to this section. Don't fall into the trap of using specific words just because it sounds really good and really professional, but you haven't had any real practical use or don't know about it or have never really used it. The assessors are not looking at how smart the case study reads, but rather the thought and consideration to the individual sections as a whole. If you can't define it, why it's been used, why you did it, this could potentially derail and blindside you in the final assessment. So while you can use these high technical terms, please do become familiar with the why, how and why you used it, how you can define it, and also back yourself up in understanding a little bit more just in case you're asked in the interview. Now on this, there's a few things that I reviewed yesterday that I also want you to consider with the My Achievements. One being the reference to specific laws, legislation, guidance, and acronyms and words that you may be using. You are welcome to use acronyms and everything throughout the case study, but please create some reference or wording to it or define it, and then obviously you can start writing it. As such, you can see it here and here. Now in both the My Approach and My Achievements, you, your counsellor and assessors should be able to clearly see evidence of how you evolved. As this is your case study, we want to see you and what you did and not what others in the team did. So while you have been putting everything in, this is where you want to be clear, concise, and show what your involvement was. I have seen some candidates show what was done, but not clearly showing what they personally did on the project. So when logically putting everything in My Approach, My Achievements, in order, we want to subhead it, we want to reference, we want to show some competencies, we want to see the key issues, the solutions, the advice, focusing on what aspects you personally did and you to structure and write it this way. When we look at the example that I provided yesterday on the My Achievements of the QS example, I did want to break this down and the planning and development a little bit more. What we can see is the competency, opening of what they did, reasoning to the issue. We're also getting insight to the logical and lateral and professional thinking. We can see advice, with a backup to why that advice was given. Now, since his competency was communication, negotiation, and conflict avoidance, we can also see reference to communication, negotiation, and conflict avoidance. Now, with planning and development, purchase and sale, we see the competency and opening, reasoning to what they are doing, the advice. We also are getting insight to the logical and lateral and professional thinking, with reference to some guidance notes they followed, to a further backup of the why. Now in both of these, we did see another element, which is that success, ensuring that the client, the employee, or the team are happy with the decisions and the result and the action best taken. Now for today and over the weekend, it's about using all this information, the RICS case study template, the candidate guides, the mind map, to really work on creating a draft of everything from the My Approach, My Achievements, and conclusion to align what RICS is looking for within the actual case study. So let me give you some more juicy bits in regards to the conclusion. I'll be using some examples, but what we can see is where the candidates have also inputted and referenced towards the competencies and skills. This is all about where you need to reflect and critically analyze your performance, how you developed as a professional, make reference to the lessons that you learned and what you would do differently next time. So you personally should write it in a way where you can see some reasoning behind this reflection. This is also where you want to show a level of humility And while you may have done everything correctly, where you may have tightened something up, something a little bit different, included something, added a step, excluded a step, to become a little bit more efficient, faster, and less cumbersome. Now, if you haven't previously referred to it, this is probably a great place to talk about ethics, rules, conduct, and professionalism. Another question I do get asked was, how many competencies should I be referencing in my case study? Well, you would like a spread of competencies, some from technical, the core, the optional, the mandatory, up to you, but a few from each to shine within your case study is good. The RICS guidance does say at least 1 to a level 3, but you can put more. And you might want to spread it out where you have 3 from each, or maybe 3 from the mandatory, 5 from the core, 2 from the optional, but you judge this best with your counsellor, as it will depend on the pathway, the issues, your involvement, scope, and the project that you're writing about. But Josh, what about the introduction? I didn't forget about this. As we know, it is recommended that a statement be no more than 500 words. It's coming as next week's action item. That's it. Happy completing. I wish you all the best success in executing, catching up, and being one step closer to completing day 19, 20, and 21. See you next week. Bye-bye.